You're still doing Windows on a separate laptop, right? So you got Windows laptop, Mac, no Parallels.
Yeah, right now. I mean, Parallels renewed for me while I was on the cruise conveniently. Just saying. So I need to get back into using it, but I am not currently using it.
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna end up pulling this Windows laptop off the back of the desk where it's sitting and hooking it up some kind of way. I may bring the mixer back, man. Might bring the Soundcraft back for a little while.
I would be interested to hear if audio is boosted with your new toy.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No, because I'm not even using it.
Oh. But if you plugged in the mixer to that, would it bring your audio levels up to a decent level so people could hear you over VoIP? And is that how you would connect it to the computer?
I would. I think with the Soundcraft, I would still end up running it through some sort of audio interface. But before we get to this new toy that Michael has mentioned, I'm gonna give a pat on the back, or whatever you want to call it. First, shout out to subscriber number 1 because your motivation sometimes. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Shout out to all the subscribers, to all the Tip Jar supporters, but definitely subscriber number 1, who Mike still won't tell me who you are, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. But no, I want to thank or just kind of share for a second, because oftentimes I'm known to really kind of give it to Apple when they have screwed up something, because they screw up stuff at times. But they've done something that's really good, and this feature's been there for a while. It's not new, but I've been using it a lot over the past couple of months, and it just occurred to me today when I made use of it very briefly that, like, hey, this really has been helpful in a way that I feel like shouldn't be necessary, but it's wonderful that it's there. And that is, and now I forget the name of it. I'm going to call it the wrong thing. Michael know what I'm talking about, and he'll fix it, though. Screen recognition on iOS.
You got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, this has solved a ton of little niggling problems in apps that are mostly accessible, except for the one thing you really need to do. For example, my credit union app updated a few weeks ago, and they seriously, like, for the most part, it just looks the same, works the same, until you want to get into moving money. All right, you want to transfer money between accounts or whatever. Now, granted, this feature was never perfect, because there's a tab at the bottom that says move money. You tap on that, you got options for transferring between accounts or sending a Zelle payment or requesting via Zelle. Like, so you got your transfer options and then your Zelle option. That screen has never been accessible in the app. But what I used to do is I would start in the account I was going to transfer money from. So on the account screen, I would just tap on the account that I wanted to transfer money out of. And within that screen where it shows you your balance and transactions and stuff, there will be a button that says transfer funds. That would automatically put me in the screen I needed to be in. With that account already selected as the from account, I would select the to account, put in the amount, follow the steps, boom, transfer done. Well, with this latest update, you tap on the button and you would tap on the account button that you want to transfer to. You want to change the account. That screen is completely, under normal VoiceOver use, is completely inaccessible. Like it is broken horrendously. Like I literally resorted for a while to coming to the computer, like going to the Mac and logging into the web interface to transfer funds. And one day I was like, hey, screen recognition is on my rotor. I haven't really tried it in here. Let me try this. Much like Mike has explained in the past on the show, I feel like on the show, I know me and Mike have discussed it when he was telling me about this feature. And I was like, yeah, whatever, that shouldn't even be there. It doesn't fix everything. So in the particular case of this credit union app, for example, I turn it on so I can make the account selections for what I want to, where I want to move money to and from and all of that. And then I turn it off before I put in the amount, because it breaks the amount feel like it doesn't work right. The keypad doesn't work right with screen recognition on. So you turn it on, pick your accounts, turn it off, then put in your amount and follow the rest of the steps, and the rest of that process is accessible. So been doing that for a while. I went to go pay my AT&T bill today, and I wanted to pay it early, and I wanted to use Apple Pay instead of using the card that I have on file because they give me a discount for, having auto pay set up or whatever. And tap on the change button, and there's just a little dialogue that popped up on the web. I'm in Safari, mobile Safari, right? And a little dialogue pops up, and it just says, set a change payment method button, right? There's nothing else on the screen for me to tap. It's going to let me pick how I want to pay. I thought about it, turned on screen recognition, was able to select Apple Pay, hit continue, turned it back off, did the Apple Pay transaction, got my 2% cash back on my Apple card, and I was happy. So this feature is, if you're not using it, it is worth giving it a try if you run in. There are other, scenarios that I can point to where, I've, tried out an app or been looking at an app interface and just turned it on, and like it gets you through some of the aggravation. It's not going to fix everything everywhere, but it is definitely something worth, if not having on your rotor, at least having it accessible to you in VoiceOver quick settings. And I don't remember the finger gesture to get that to come up, but Mike knows it because he uses it. Mike's going to say, no, I don't.
No, I do. I do when I need it. It's not one of those tools that you use every day, but it's one of those tools to have handy in your back pocket when something doesn't work as you expect it. The problem is remembering that tool is there.
Yep. And that was the problem for me, which is why I'm highlighting it now, because I realized like I've been using this actually for at least a good month, kind of. And again, not every day, not even every couple of days, but just routinely to where it's on my rotor. It's near the end of my rotor. Like it's not, close to the typical stuff, headings and things like, but it is there on the rotor, and I know where it is in the rotation to get to it. So shout out to Apple, man. Good feature.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's appreciated, Apple.
Absolutely.
When things work the way they should. I will tell you, I did a big Apple thing today.
Oh, Mike bought an iPad.
No, that's no, absolutely not. I did learn something today, tablet related. Please don't let me forget. And I'll tell you if we talk about it and if we don't, tablet related. No, I reset all my VoiceOver settings on the Mac.
Oh.
And now it's all broken.
Oh man. Yeah.
Wait, why did you sound positive when you thought it was the phone, and then when it was the Mac?
Because I was like, that for some reason the phone doesn't seem as. There's a lot of customizations that go into the Mac. I feel like, and I know you've done some customizations of gestures on iOS. I haven't done that many. Like I have, I can't always get that braille screen input gesture to work. So I added the 4-finger quadruple tap to be turn on braille screen input for me. But I haven't done it. But on the Mac, there's so much that you go through, and then you forget that you even did this thing. Like you for a while until you wiped your Mac the last time, I think, even had customized some of the Apple scripts that would run so that you could get seconds out of VoiceOver. Like there's a ton of, and it's like you forget all of this until it doesn't work, and you don't have time to quickly fix it.
Yeah, like I am still pressing 4 and 6 on my numpad. This is this is worse though, man. Those work. Like 4 and 6 work. So my finger slides up to 7 to stop interacting. And I think 1 is what you press to stop. No, nope, I don't even know how to stop interacting by default. So I got to go set that up.
No, it's 7.
What was that? Oh, it's 7.
Yeah, 7 to stop interacting, 9 to interact. What breaks
not by default.
Yeah, it is. I haven't changed mine.
Why is that not working for me then?
Let me say this. I'll put it to you this way. I haven't erased my VoiceOver settings. So this is what it was set to by default prior to 26. I don't know if they made changes in 26 to it. That is a fair way to put that. It used to be the default. I can't say for certain that it still is. I would actually have to pair them. I don't even have that MacBook Air in here. I loaned it to my mother.
Yeah, well, things they do not work like they should. Just saying. But that was my own doing. I knew what I was doing getting into it. There were reasons for wanting to reset VoiceOver settings. Now, does your VoiceOver tell you input application system dialog action button? You are currently on a button to click this button. I know how to turn that one off. But does yours, when you hit command space, say application system dialog action button?
No, it does not.
Because mine does.
Oh, actually, it does. So it says, hold on.
It's one of those, like, it says it and you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, because I'm usually typing before it finishes talking.
Yeah.
It finishes talking. But yet, application system dialog action menu. Because you are actually on a menu in launch bar when it comes up.
Yes.
But yeah, it does say all of that.
Eventually, I want to trim that down. No, before I reset my things, I did go in and try to grab that whole phrase with VO Shift C, and no, it did not let me assign that to something that would say like launch bar or something. So I think there's some verbosity options I can change that will possibly make it so if a system dialog comes up, it doesn't actually say system dialog, which right there, that would trim down a bit of what it actually says.
Yeah, it would.
So I'm going to go through and experiment a little bit with that, because for listeners who may not know, there for a while, so macOS did this thing 2 versions ago that changed numpad commander, trackpad commander, and keyboard commander to just be commanders. That might be new to this version, but recently they made it commanders. And I discovered, or commands, not commanders, and that's important. I discovered when you go into commands, you can actually assign your own commands to the keyboard. So I am regularly switching between Mac and Windows. So honestly, I don't want to remember to press VO F2, hopefully with your function keys on, because sometimes those change when you switch keyboards, to read the title of a window. I want to press VOT, because to me, that's caps lock T, and that's what I'm used to on Windows. So I went in and changed that functionality prior to resetting my VoiceOver settings. And now not now, earlier today, if I pressed caps lock T, it would actually read the title of a window. Or caps lock F12 would read to me the time. Caps lock Shift B would give me how much battery's left on my MacBook. So it was not all the same shortcuts, but similar shortcuts across platform.
Yeah.
Mainly because I was tired of having to think about what keystroke needed to be pressed. Now, to me, Command and Control, I can weirdly make that change in my head, but sometimes it's the screen reader keystrokes.
Yeah, I get it, because it very strangely, like, I can easily go between Windows and Mac and not mix up the command key with control and et cetera. And especially since you taught me you gave me that tip for, I think you may have gotten it from, I don't remember where you got it from, but the fix the Windows key so that when you're in Windows and Parallels, the Option key is your Windows key instead of being your Alt key. So that transition is, but you're right, it's the screen reader shortcuts. Because if I'm in Windows for an extended period of time, I will come out and I will want to do a VoiceOver command, and I'll find myself pressing the NVDA keystroke, or trying to anyway. And I'm like, what is going on? And
I just generated the whole schedule for last Monday.
That's not what you needed to do, was it? Oh, man.
That makes sense. I was like, wait a minute. Something's not adding up here. I'm pretty sure we talked about this last week. Guess what? We did.
I'm going to have to try this now, too, because I just thought about this. So you're using caps lock as your VoiceOver modifier.
Yep.
Do you have that set to be exclusive?
No.
So you can use either control option or caps lock. Okay. Because I have found in the past, and I hadn't tried it recently, that if you just have caps lock set to be the only VoiceOver modifier, stuff gets a little weird. Definitely gets a little weird.
Not gonna lie, there are times when stuff gets a little weird, but honestly, that's VoiceOver.
But what I haven't tried, and you're not using Parallels, so you can't tell me. I'm gonna have to. Well, how long have you been having that be this? Did you have that set up that way when you were still using Parallels more regularly?
Yep.
So you never ran into a situation where your, well, let me ask this question because I got to ask this question because then it'll make sense. Are you also using caps lock as your JAWS modifier, or were you? Or were you using insert or 0?
I don't remember.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking for people listening, like Mike gets where I'm going, but the reason I'm asking is because one trick that we learned, and I think this did come from Steven, was if you, what's that app? I cannot remember the name of that app. Sharp Keys, I think. Is that the right one?
That allows you to reassign keys to different keys? Sharp Keys.
So we did that in Windows so that when you switch over to Parallels and Windows and Parallels, your Option key on the Mac becomes your Windows key. So Alt-Tab works the way it's supposed to. To get out of that, what we figured out kind of generally works most of the time is hold down the VoiceOver modifier keys for a couple of seconds, and then it'll pop you out of that so you're back in macOS, and then you can do macOS things. And I would wonder, because that's the only time you hold those keys down in Windows is for that purpose, is Control and Option. If you, like, I always use the caps lock key as my modifier because I was on a laptop for so long in Windows that I didn't have a numpad, that I don't remember all of the numpad commands, but I remember the laptop layout commands. Yep. So I wonder if that would create interference if I'm holding down the modifier key as caps lock, and that's also my VoiceOver key. So I will have to do some testing on that.
I think I have an answer for you because I remember using this, and I don't think it is related to the Control Option keys. I think what frees up the keyboard is specifically the Option key.
Okay.
So if I recall right, I think that's what I had ended up discovering while experimenting with that a little bit.
Well, I shall try it out and see.
Yeah, you should.
That's interesting.
So Damashe has a whole list of stuff for us to talk about.
Oh man, I'm glad you reminded me.
While he's pulling that up, I'm going to loop back to my tablet conversation because it is very important we talk about this. So I bought something new last week, and it was not an insignificant purchase, but making this purchase had a couple of positive effects in our house. Most importantly was we got to make my mother-in-law happy, and she got a new washer and dryer. So that was good. And then we got a Samsung smart washer dryer combo. So how this thing works is you put your clothes in it, you start the cycle, you wash your clothes, and then immediately after it's done, it turns into drying and it dries the clothes. This one is about the width of our old washer, and it's probably about the same height, but it's a little higher because we have it on a little pedestal, so we have a drawer underneath it. It runs off of 110. So when I go over some numbers, just know that the whole thing runs off of 110, and that explains why it does what it does. So it will wash the clothes, and then right afterwards, as I said, it goes right into drying, and we're made aware of the status on our phones using the Samsung app. And then when you pull your clothes out, they're not wet, but they also feel like they could be wet. So I don't know how best to describe it. It's a weird description, but they are dry. And when you actually pull them out, go ahead.
I'm gonna interject because I think I can give some people that have ever done this. Like if your washer and dryer are like outside or in a place is not normally heated. So it's cold in the winter, and you put clothes in the dryer and you dry them overnight. And when you get up in the morning and you go out there and you grab something out of there, because it's cold, it feels like it's still wet, even though it's not. Is that the kind of feeling?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's a good explanation. Yeah. So all of our clothes come out like that, but they're all dry, and they're actually like when you put them on, you're like, oh, okay, like they're fine. And the lint trap does take a bit. The problem that I have is it takes about 4.5 hours to run a load, both wash and dry, which really isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things when you realize that your dryer's running on 110 and not 220, and you don't have an outdoor vent, so it vents it underneath the washer dryer combo. But it also, I have heard, when it spins the clothes and it gets water out of it, that water just drains out of that tube that normally washers would drain out of. So that's how it's able to easily keep your clothes dry. And really, we were probably spending 3 to 4 hours with the washer dryer pair. So the time difference isn't huge. The biggest thing is because it washes and dries, the clothes don't sit in the washer, and then Michael forgets to put them in the dryer, and then Michael gets in trouble because he didn't put them in the dryer, and then no one else can do their laundry because there's still wet clothes in the washer. So that's a benefit. But we got it. We set it up. The Mallory got the washer dryer hooked up to our Wi-Fi, and I used the Samsung app, and I pushed the cycle to the washer, and then it said press the start button on the washer. Well, the washer is fully touchscreen. So I walked over there and I just started whacking random places on the touchscreen trying to figure out where the start button was and seeing if I can consistently get it.
Now the screen is in Korean, huh?
No. Better yet, though. So Ben saw me struggling with it, and he came over, and he was pushing buttons to kind of look around what's going on and stuff. And he's like, went into settings, and he started reading things, and I'm like, wait, it has accessibility in there? So he tapped on accessibility, and then without saying anything, he tapped on voice view and enabled it. And then I was able to swipe around on the washer. I was able to get information out of how much time's left on the cycle. Most importantly, I was able to find and double tap on the start button to activate it. But Samsung, if you're listening, and I'll tell you a story about that in a second. Samsung, if you're listening, I think this experience would have been 1,000 times better if the 3 times yesterday I touched the screen with 2 fingers for 3 seconds, that Samsung would have said something like voice view enabled or something. Or when we turned on the speech settings, because there are settings in the washer itself that will say what cycle is starting, but that is separate from voice view. When we turned those on, you should have popped up a message that said, hey, voice view is available. Do you need this as an accessibility tool? And then let me turn it on. But I now have a fully accessible washer dryer combo that I was scared was not going to be accessible. And we were going to have to deal with the whole return window. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that it works. I shouldn't be, but a washer based on Android.
No, I'm shocked.
You are?
Yeah, because it hasn't really generally been that way. I agree that one of 2 things. What I would like to see, honestly, is when you take it out of the box and you plug it up for the first time and it powers up, that it gives you some sort of speech.
Yeah.
That says, hey, for accessibility, press 2 fingers on the screen for 3 seconds or something like that, right? To go ahead and just because if I was taking this out of the box, like I would have had to call somebody in, like, man, listen, I don't know what's going on with this stupid thing. I got the app open, it's not connecting. I don't know what it's doing. But cool. That is cool. Very interesting. So you mentioned a tablet thing.
Mm-hmm.
You discovered something tablet related is how you
that was the washer.
Because that was
the washer dryer has I think it's an 8-inch screen on the front. So man, it's like big. A tablet right there mini. On the front. Yeah. Yep. Now, you know what's really going to mess me up is if next year Apple's like, hey, guess what, developers of hardware? You can now put our home hub in your hardware, and it will come with VoiceOver. That'll be my luck.
It is really funny that you said that. And I'm going to tell you a thing that I know. No, I'm just kidding. No, we both know that'll be 2030 before they actually make such an announcement. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be fine. Like they're not going to move too fast on that if they ever did it. Something that Apple is apparently floating out there and announcing is Tim Cook may be stepping down next year as CEO.
Yeah, that's a rumor that we heard. I'm interested in where Apple will go if that is the case. I've heard some say that Apple probably won't change much, But I feel, in my opinion, that no matter who it is, hopefully Apple will stick to its core values. But you will, as the consumer, not immediately, but eventually start seeing some differences because each person has different objectives that they want to bring forward to an organization. And I think Apple, it's not a bad thing, but will change from the Apple we know with Tim Cook to the Apple we know with whoever the successor is. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you knew earlier, but Tim Cook's Apple and Steve Jobs' apples aren't the same.
No, they're not. Although there's the potential. So here's the thing. I feel like going back to Tim Cook's Apple versus Steve Jobs' Apple, right? I think there is quite a bit about Apple that would have went the Tim Cook route had Steve Jobs been around more years than he ended up having left. Because a lot of what Tim Cook has brought to Apple that is clearly stamped Tim Cook was already in process before Steve even really got that sick or was sick enough to step away. Because Tim's the operations guy. Like, he's the one who got everything lined up with China and got the factories built so that they were able to do what they've been doing for the past, 10 or more, 12, 13 years when it comes to production, right? And that opened the door for a lot more companies to send their manufacturing over to China, because China had developed these skills. So he that part I think still would have happened. Where I think we may have diverged from what Tim Cook's Apple looks like publicly or facing to us a lot of times is some of the failed product releases, or if not that product never existed in the first place, maybe they don't hold on to it. Like, I'm thinking about that keyboard, right? That one particular keyboard on the laptops that they just kept insisting they were going to fix it. They kept trying to fix. Oh, we re-engineered the memory, phone.
Oh, the butterfly keyboard?
Yeah. Like, they kept re-engineering it, right? I feel like, and again, I could be wrong, right? We don't know, but I feel like that's the thing that either wouldn't have got out of the door of Apple, or we would have saw one iteration of that and he'd have killed it. I think they were on the path to Apple Silicon regardless. Like, I've been banging this drum for years. Like, it just took forever. It took way longer than I thought it was going to take them to get there. And I wasn't the first person to say it, and I ain't the only person to have said it, but, I was on it. I still think they're going to ultimately drop the OS to, they may not name it Core OS, but that thing got described a couple of years ago. Like, I still think we're going to get to, there's a core that they start from, and really the only thing you're going to refer to, your device is going to all be running very similar software that just adapts for the device that you're running it on. We're just about there now, and I think I'm seeing more of that. I just think it takes longer than I actually thought it would take, from an engineering perspective, because they're having to continue to move products forward, as well as do a lot of re-engineering to macOS, to bring those things more in line. But I still think that's ultimately where they're going to go, because I think, and we're seeing pieces of it come together. Like, I think Vision OS is a part of that as well, because again, you're going to still need, what's under that. What's under all of that is still basically macOS, right? It's just been stripped down in different ways for different platforms. But I don't know how much Apple would change. The rumored successor is, oh man, I forgot his name. John? Somebody? He's the hardware guy. He's the head of hardware. So that could be different, because he's more of a hardware person. His focus is going to be different from Tim's focus, but Tim's got the operations rocking. Like, I don't see how you manage to really screw up their operations unless you don't know what you really come in intentionally trying to break things. And I don't foresee that happening with a company like Apple, just because of the culture that is inside of Apple. See different focuses on things, for sure. Maybe different decisions being made. I think Tim has, and I think part of the reason that this has been rumored is kind of just see see how the market reacts a little bit. Maybe prepare shareholders for this is a thing that's going to happen, even if it doesn't necessarily happen next year, right? Maybe it happens and still Tim starts to step away from so much of the CEO role to bring John, and I really wish I could remember John's last name, but we're going to call him John Hardware for now because that's what we're going to do. Bring him on to start taking over more of the duties of being a CEO so that he can learn the job. And one difference here is Tim's trying to make this a smooth process, right? His process going to be CEO was not smooth because, Steve went down pretty quickly. Like he was struggling for a while, but he was still hanging on. And he did step away and make Cook the interim CEO. Then he made him the CEO. He became the chairman of the board for a short time, but it was very abrupt though. He was being, Tim Cook was, I think, being groomed for the position of CEO. Like it wasn't like, oh, who are we going to get to be the CEO? Like I think that was already the plan. It just the transition, the way it had to happen due to Steve's illness, I think was a lot more abrupt in a lot of ways. And I think they made decisions early on that they would not have made had it been a more organized transition. Had it been able to be managed a little bit better than it was. So I think Tim's trying to plan for that. I think Tim probably would move up to become chairman of the board and continue to do the political-ish stuff that he does.
Right.
And leave the operations and running of Apple inside to John Hardware and his team that he puts together, because I can, again, foresee certain people being moved up or moved around that, he wants to work because he's going to need a different team around him, right? Like, right now, Tim goes to him when he has hardware stuff, or he comes to Tim when he's got hardware issues or prospects, or he's a hardware guy. So he understands hardware. I don't think he's going, he'll elevate somebody to whatever his current VP position is, but he's still a hardware guy, right? So he's not going to have as many hardware questions as maybe Tim might have, but he's not an operations guy. So he's going to have to make sure he has a good operations person. And Jeff Williams has left. And that was the operations guy that stepped in as COO after Tim moved up. So, we have to build him a team.
Hey, you were close with John Hardware. It's John Hurness.
That's it. Turnus, I thought. Is it Turnus?
Oh, it is Turnus.
Yeah.
Ternus. Thank you, Gemini.
Yeah, he's the guy that comes out of the lab and tells you all about what they did with this amazing chip. He's that guy. I know who he is. I just couldn't remember his last name.
You know his voice. You just couldn't remember his last name. So,
yeah. But I could see that being the case. And Tim would still have plenty of time to kind of make that transition smooth. It wouldn't be abrupt, so he could slowly step away from the duties of CEO and let John move his way up and continue being the kind of politician for Apple, because that's a lot of what Cook is doing now. That could be another driving reason for them to be looking at doing this now much earlier than I think some people may have, foreseen it coming, because he realizes that there's going to be a lot more of this finessing of politicians and governmental people that he's going to have to do, which is necessarily going to take his focus off of, the decisions that need to be made inside Apple, and having his full attention devoted to those. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm curious. At some point it has to happen.
Yep, and it'd be better if it was a structured way of happening instead of oh no, this is what we have to do happening.
Yeah.
So that's our brief discussion on Apple. I told you yesterday, Mallory's like, you have to record tonight? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why? You haven't had to record for the last couple of days. I'm like, yeah, because we ran out of pre-recorded content. So I think we forgot to thank Amanda for joining us last week.
So thanks to Amanda for joining us last week. Hope everybody enjoyed that episode. She seemed pleased with the results.
Yeah.
She texted both of us and said she heard our episode. Amanda's different from me, at least, because I don't ever listen to episodes that I'm on. It's like, no. So we do have several other topics to go through here. Going back to Apple for a quick second and tablets though, I've started. I haven't made a full transition or even really gotten anywhere other than some basics, but I am trialing out using a 12.9 inch iPad Pro M2. So I'm borrowing Tia's iPad because she's not using it. At the moment, it's still a little too heavy for her to lift it up and do a lot with it. So barring that, I went on eBay and found for a really good deal, a Magic Keyboard case. That's the magnetic one. I might be not naming the product exactly right, but it's the one that just magnetically attaches to the back of the iPad. It has a kind of little hinge tilt thing in the keyboard and the trackpad. Also, I figured out, and I don't know if this was there before because it's been years since I tried one of these, but there's now settings in VoiceOver for that trackpad or for trackpads in general for pointers. And you can make the pointer follow VoiceOver so that if you accidentally burst your hand across that trackpad, it doesn't move your focus wherever the freaking pointer is.
That's interesting.
But I'm trying this out as like a laptop replacement. Pretty sure we talked about it on the show. I know I'll talk to you about it, but
we talked about it.
Considering going back to a desktop Mac, I don't need a laptop. I don't need a Mac laptop most of the time. I need a keyboard and a device, but I don't need a laptop most of the times. And I really don't want to use two different Macs like that. That seems unhinged to me.
But wouldn't you be using two different Macs if you use the iPad? Because the iPad is like a fake Mac?
No. Wow, shots fired. Hold on. Oh, man. See, I should have had the thing connected. I wouldn't have had that on the board, though, man. Okay, now I got to start using that because I needed that button. Jeez, Mike. Wow. You said it's like a fake Mac. Oh, my God. I didn't say that. I'm just saying. Feedback at technicallyworking.show. Got thoughts.
I mean,
no. So here's the difference. I get what you legitimately mean, but no, here's the difference versus. So let's say I were to go to a desktop Mac and I were to get whatever I could off of this MacBook Pro that I'm using, and continue using MacBook Air as like a portable carry around travel computer, right? Well, now I got to keep two Macs in sync, and it's not just the files, but it's like the applications or the settings for an application, right? Like, if I go in and make changes to my VoiceOver, commanders or whatever on this Mac, and then I don't do it on that Mac, then I'm over here trying to figure out why stuff ain't working.
Yep.
There's that issue.
We all do it.
Yeah. I know it'll happen. Like, it's going to happen. The difference in looking at an iPad for this purpose, and I'm thinking about, jotting down notes, numbers is a little hinky on here. I'm not sure I like numbers. I could potentially, depending on what Excel looks like, end up in there. But for on the go, just lightweight computing in a lot of different scenarios where I don't need what the Mac does for me, it could be useful. And I'm not at that point trying to keep application settings in sync. Like, my launch bar over here doesn't match my launch bar over there because there's not a launch bar on the iPad because it's a fake Mac. So it doesn't get launch bar. Just get Spotlight.
You just switch to using Spotlight on the Mac.
Nah, that's not going to happen. I don't foresee that.
I tried with this latest version. I did try. And
I tried. I tried legitimately. I tried during the beta, and I tried for a little bit on, like, I didn't disable command space for being launch bar on my daily use Mac, but I did turn on, I think it was option space or something for Spotlight, but it behaves weirdly a little bit.
Yeah. I tried not even installing Launch Bar when I got the Mac back, the most recent time.
Yeah.
And I tried updating and just using Spotlight with command space, and you can't navigate Spotlight as seamlessly as you can. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the way that you navigate Spotlight, but to me, Launch Bar is just easier to get to the information I need, and then being able to send stuff to folders or to different apps. And I couldn't type command space and press and hold F to open Farrago. I had to type in F and then find Farrago and then press enter. And that's a little thing, but it's also a big thing when you do it every day.
Yeah, it shaves a lot off your productivity. And again, that's one of the reasons for me to like Alfred, which I know a lot of VoiceOver users as well as other non-VoiceOver users love that app. Raycast, again, I don't know how many blind people are using it, but people love that app. And I've tried both of them, but Launch Bar it feels right. And sometimes you just go with what feels right.
Yep.
Even though they don't seem to be adding a whole lot of new features to Launch Bar, but hey, as long as it works, I'll be on Launch Bar.
Yeah. I don't know, Launch Bar, you need to give me some chat. I mean, you don't have to, but give me some chat GPT integration.
Don't do too much weird stuff though. Like don't do too much weird stuff because it still needs to work the way it works now. So I'm cool with them leaving it alone because I can sit here and try to code up an action that lets me send stuff to Chat GPT or something. Like I can try to figure that out with Launch Bar. You can make your own custom Launch Bar actions.
Yeah,
like, that's not
I forgot you can make your own custom actions.
Yeah, so they don't have to just keep it the way it is if you need to. Like keep it updated so it works on the new OSs, and I'm cool. Go to version 7 at some point so you can do some upgrade pricing and make some more money. I'll happily give you another, I don't know, $15-$20 because it wasn't that expensive when I bought it. So your upgrade pricing can't be that much. But don't get too weird.
Don't break it.
Hopefully you're not over there cooking up an all new Launch Bar written in Swift. Like don't do that.
No.
Like, don't.
It's working right now. Leave it alone.
Yeah, stop it. Like whatever you're cooking up, like don't do that. Leave it to the younger guys out here. We'll just stay old Launch Bar people. So I'm trying out the iPad.
Am I an old person now, Damashe? Because I don't want changes.
No, you're busy for one thing. That settles a lot of that. I want to try out new crap now because, like, I installed Tapestry. Just going off on a side note, right quick. Like, I installed Tapestry to check it out from the Icon Factory because you can add you can add feeds, you can add YouTube, you can add Mastodon, Threads, which I'm not on, so I guess I'm gonna be adding those. Blue Sky, like you can pull all this stuff into an app, and I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. And Leo was talking about it. I've heard a few other people mention it, and I opened it once. And that's it. Like I haven't been back to it since then. Like, cause I just don't have time. Like it's a whole lot of setup. I got to figure out how it works. I mean, it's completely accessible because it's Icon Factory, right? But it's just time. Like, so a lot of that getting settled in with stuff is I know this works. It works the way I need it to, and it doesn't affect my productivity. Going and trying out something new is an automatic productivity drop because you don't make your money trying out new stuff and then telling people about it. You make your money by using the tools that work and occasionally incorporating new tools or building new tools that are going to increase your efficiency, not trying out every weird ass thing that comes out and be like, oh, let's see if this works. It's like, I don't jump across to-do apps anymore. But we'll come back to to-do apps. Let me finish with this. So what I'm trying is just to see if that can become my lightweight carry computer. I don't have very much installed on it at this point. I've moved a whole lot of stuff off the app screen. I haven't even set up email yet. I just installed Fantastical today. I have drafts installed, did a lot of typing in drafts. The keyboard feels good. One thing that I realized that if this does work, I'm going to have to go to the 13-inch as opposed to me getting a new 11-inch iPad. Because the keyboard is a little more spacious. And for comparison, I do have two, which I'm now going to put on eBay because I'm not getting to my kids because they're still a little reckless with their iPads and I ain't replacing those screens, man. But I do have two 11-inch iPad Magic Keyboard cases from years ago when me and Tia had the Air, whatever version numbers they are that the kids currently have now. So I pulled one of those out of a box and tried it because I realized like I'm typing pretty fast, and I don't remember when I was using the iPad actually typing, which is one reason I didn't keep using it back then. And I realized like the keyboard that crampedness is just cramped enough that I'm not as efficient. I hesitate more than I do with the one that's on her 12.9 or 13-inch size iPad. So it automatically tells me I'm going to a bigger iPad. I may look at the Air. I don't have to get a Pro necessarily. I may look at the Air. If this pans out as a thing that I'm going to actually do. I'm still in the testing phases, so we'll be back with more reports. I feel like if I can get to a point where 60 to 70% of what I need to do on the road, day to day can be done on the iPad. And the rest of it can either be filed as a reminder to do when I get home, or just gets negated altogether. It'll be worth it because if I do get an iPad, it'll be a cellular version, so I always have a data connection. Some advantages to the tablet is it can just be yanked off and be a tablet. It doesn't have to always be in that kind of laptop form factor. And I can hand it to someone while I'm looking at something, whether it's in a machine, I'm doing something. I can hand this to somebody like, here's this, and here's a pencil, like, write these notes while I'm doing things. So it's a little bit more flexibility as a device, I think. And I feel like the software is solid enough now for anybody interested. I have it in simple mode, which is there's no multi-windowing going on. There's no split screening. There's none. I'm using it like a basic big giant iPhone almost. Mm-hmm. There's potential for me to go down that path to explore some of that if this works out, but I wanted to start out because I'm not normally an iPad user. The most iPad usage I have done is with the Mini as like my little portable, book reader deal. And that's because I was using that to read the books and stuff, or read documents and all that stuff when I was at Gentry. So I picked that up for that reason. That's pretty much all that iPad Mini was for me. It was just basically a reader. So I'll keep people informed as I learn things. I have somewhat high hopes, but I'm not like super over the moon about the whole deal. I do think in a pinch on traveling, it could work for doing a podcast. Just have to probably have Mike log into Clean Feed because you can't run that off the iPad.
I mean, you could try.
No, because you can't host in Safari.
Gotcha.
With Clean Feed. Like if we were using something different, like if we were still using Zoom, we could do Zoom. That would be easy enough to work. I don't remember which one of the platforms, but I believe one of them will let you host from the iPad using their app. Like and now I'm blanking on all the services right there. StreamYard, that's not the one I'm thinking. Riverside, I think, will let you host. Riverside though, it's a little hinky.
Yeah.
Little hinky.
I want to look back to some conversation we had. Damashe was right. 7 does stop interacting and 9 does start interacting. When you go into VoiceOver utilities, go to commands, and then you still have to turn on the checkbox that says to allow you to use numpad commander. So that was my problem.
Yeah, commanders are weird too, because like, man, you can do so much in there now with that. You can break it down to just a specific section, or you can feel like I've done some stuff. I need to actually go through and review some of what I've done and come back and tell you about it, because like I've made some changes because I'm using a keyboard with a numpad on it at the moment. All right. I said something about a thing, and I said I'll come back to that in a second. I forgot what it was. So I'm going to ask Mike why he just switched back to the Eero when he was on the Orbi.
Hey, there's no beating around the bush here, huh? Just what'd you do, Michael? What's your problem, Michael?
Yeah, man, what's going on with
that, Mallory? Oh my God! So the thing
shout out to Windows Babcock.
Yes, Windows Babcock. The thing you say we'd come back to is Todoist.
To do apps. So actually, let's go down that path first. We'll get back to the Eero thing because we were having a conversation, and this conversation is also in the notes. It's just that Eero thing is at the top. Mike mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago that he was like, "Oh, I've been using reminders more. We should talk about it." I said, "Okay, cool." 3 days later, yeah, so I'm back into Todoist. You were going to help me transition to reminders. What are you doing?
Oh, and now I'm using Todoist like there's no tomorrow, or there is a lot of tomorrows. I'm getting everything done tomorrow.
Get everything done next week. So,
especially the Ramble feature. Oh man, did you play that?
I did a little. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
But let's go back to reminders for a second, though, because I'm curious what had you on that path, because I kind of know what brought you back to Todoist almost, but what had you on the reminders, and
Well,
how were you using it?
Yeah, Mallory would tell me to do something. I'd pull my phone out. I would trigger Siri and say, remind me to do this at this time. And then, you know what? It actually worked. It would show up on my lock screen when I needed to do something. I would flick up to more and then double tap that and then double tap on complete. So that process was a little clunky. I could go into reminders and double tap on a reminder, which would mark it complete, but it takes it like 3 or 4 seconds to refresh and actually display that the reminder is complete, and then take it out of your screen. But you know, I was working with it, and reminders was working just fine. I could say things like remind me to do this tomorrow at 2 p.m. with Siri, and it would do it, and everything would be fine. And then you mentioned AI and Todoist, and I'm like, it's been a while since I played with that. I haven't actually checked it out for quite a bit. So I went into Todoist and I deleted all my projects. I deleted all my tasks because I'm like, you know, if they've been in Todoist for 6 months now, I'm not going to do them now. And if there was something in there, it'll come back to me when I get other things out of my head. And I started with a brand new instance of Todoist by deleting everything out of it. And I'm using it again consistently for 6 days.
Okay. So that is actually what was bringing me to starting to consider more reminders, because of that very quick, you know, invoke Siri, remind me to do this thing at such and such a time. Or I hadn't quite done it with Siri yet because I wasn't that invested, but I did have a couple of reminders that I set up mostly as tests to see how they would work. But remind me to do a thing when I get to a location, get to a place. Which reminds me, I was at the Walmart and didn't, I don't think I put that Walmart on the list, though. I need to do that. I was at a different Walmart. I wanted to try seeing if I could make a copy of my machine key, which I'm not supposed to be able to do. You're supposed to have to go to a certified locksmith that's certified to make copies of those keys, and you got to prove that you own it, and yada, yada. But I am a suspicious type of fellow, so I'm curious if it will just work in one of those little key machines or not. But that was kind of what was drawing me towards reminders. So I was very interested when you said that you had been using reminders. But then we went back to Todoist, and you were like, you got to try this Ramble feature. It's amazing. And Ramble basically lets you start talking. It can do some accessibility improvements a little bit, but it lets you just start talking, and you just talk out tasks, like, you know, do this and wait for it to do a haptic vibration. Then you go with the next task and go with the next task and just follow that pattern until you're done. And if you say, I'm done, then it stops listening and it dumps all your tasks in and like, oh. And you know, like, that is honestly magical. Because
you can just get a shortcut to trigger that with a little bit faster, but I think that might be doable in the near future if it's not already there.
Yeah. And what was magical for me about that is because there are several times where I've done, and Todoist naturally did this. I think maybe OmniFocus did it too, but honestly, I hadn't touched OmniFocus in a while, even though I installed it and was going to try it out again. And I was like, man, but still. But what was magical about that is there's several times where, like, there are several things I just need to get out of my brain, like right then. Like, it's a whole list of things, right? And I used to open drafts and dictate into drafts, and then I would run an action that would dump all that into Todoist. And I think at some point I managed to either break that action or I lost that action, or I have no idea what happened to it. But anyway, it's not there anymore.
Yep.
So, but that is a really cool feature. I know one reason I stopped using that drafts action is because I broke it when I was trying to figure out how to use a particular type of syntax that would dictation would pick it up correctly, but then it would know, well, this item and this item need to go to that project, but then this item and that item and that item need to go to that project, and this thing ain't got nowhere to go, so it just falls in the inbox.
So how do you fix that now, Damashe?
Well, I mean, it seems like Ramble lets you do that.
Yep.
So
Sure does.
They kind of did a thing. And I mentioned to Mike when he first told me about the Ramble, because I tried it. I was like, man, I couldn't figure out how to get out of it though. And he was like, I just tapped on the unlabeled button. I'm like, yeah, but how did you know the button's unlabeled? Because it ain't talking.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, I 2-finger double tap to get my podcast to come back.
Yeah, which I actually didn't try because, sometimes the 2-finger double tap, or at least it used to, launch the new action thing. I was like, yeah, they probably screwed that up. So I ain't even trying that. But that's what I should have done. And I was like, I bet there's a way to make a shortcut and have it have everything processed, send it to an AI, have it parse the things the right way, and then feed it back into reminders with IFTTT or some stuff. And then Mike was like, oh, this is how this works. And I did this thing and it made this happen and it did it this way. And I was like, yeah, you sons of, I'm probably going to have to give you some more money.
So and then I called him back a couple minutes later and said, just say I'm done.
Yeah. So, December 10th, I think, is when that feature is going to go specifically.
So I need to buy a year of Todoist now.
No. Because once they change their pricing structure, and I'll forward you the email that I got. Okay. I'll go find it and forward it to you. But what it seems like they're doing is the existing features, and I don't think Ramble is in that list. But the current features that we're used to, no Ramble included, we'll get to keep. But newer features are going to be on their higher tier, which is going up to $60 a year versus the 36 that it's been.
Man, if we can customize this experience, I hesitate very much so with this because 60 is above that threshold for me. Something that's like $30, $40 a year I can talk myself into. 60 is a little bit harder for me to talk myself into, even though we pay for Netflix with no ads. But I think if they can simplify a little bit with this adding tasks flow to actually get into the Ramble, which honestly, and we'll talk about my new home screen if you want in a minute briefly, but I haven't tried to triple tap on the Todoist app to see if Ramble is right there, because that would be, it's not? Okay. No,
I'll try that.
But anyways, that almost worth $60.
What could, so here's what can make it worth the $60 to me, right? And that is kind of above the threshold for it to do app, but one, there'll be a thing on my mind all the time. They're like, hey, remember you paid $60 for this. You better be using the hell out of it. That's going to be there. The other thing that could make this even better is, and I haven't looked at it yet because I'm just now thinking of it, but I mean, Todoist has always had pretty good shortcut support. There might be a way to launch directly into Ramble, and then you can set your own custom Siri phrase for that shortcut. So now we're off to the races, and we still get the things that have kept both of us, I think, on and off of Todoist, but always coming back is cross-platform. We can use it just about anywhere. And the potential with their API to tie it into other tools. And with, Cloud Code, Gemini, GPT, listen, I don't think I talked about this on the show, but I built that little 1-page, very simple, Todoist thing where it showed me all my projects. I could pick a project and then look at what was there and then go check the stuff off. And then I was like, oh, okay. And that was a one-liner. So, if I really put some effort into it, even with accessibility issues that they may, crop up from time to time, I could build something that would have me hooked into my deal. So yeah, I don't know, man. They may have got me, even though when I first saw the price increase, I'm like, what the hell are you increasing the price for? But I had completely been ignoring Ramble because I didn't see. It takes Mike sometimes to just open up something like, oh, what the hell is Ramble? And he just tapped it because he ain't care. I'm like, look, I got stuff in here. I don't want to screw up nothing. And it's already a little hinky and I'm checking off tasks and things like Ramble. No, I ain't rambling about nothing, man. I got work to do. Mike goes in and taps it in there and calls, man, this thing is amazing. So we'll follow up. And I think over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to really spend some time. I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do what you did with a slight modification. I'm going to export my current task out. Because, and the only reason I'm doing that is not because it's like, oh, there's a thing in here that I may want someday get around to do. No, there's a few times where I've sent links for things, and I don't have those anywhere else. That is like, I want to actually come back to this, product, item, service, feature, page, article, whatever, that I just sensed to do is because it was the closest thing that popped up. I was like, oh yeah, I can go find it. So I want to make sure I don't lose those, and I'm not going to take the time to go through all of my tasks and whatnot, but then I'm going to just delete everything. But I think I'm going to start fresh and start building and see how it goes. And we'll once again follow up on what we do. If you have ideas for task managers or ways that you're handling your task, or even questions about maybe Todoist yourself, you can send us an email, feedback@technicallyworking.show. I think my Mac is locked. Here's the one downside to using a third-party keyboard and me having my MacBook sitting where it's sitting, is I can't use Touch ID to unlock it when I've been sitting here talking and not moving anything on the computer and the screen locks.
Yeah.
I should shop around a bit. I know people were hacking up the Apple keyboards. A few people did it and just made like a little Touch ID button that they stuck to the underside of their desk. I don't want to actually go do that because I'll probably break something. But if somebody has made such a thing that is inexpensive enough, I would probably buy it, honestly. Especially if I end up with a desktop Mac, because, man, typing in your password is... I'll tell you what I really like, and I need this on the Mac. Like, I need this on the Mac, on a monitor, whatever. Face ID on the iPad, dude. Yeah. Like, man.
Yeah.
That is nice. That is nice, especially if I've been signing into a couple of different things with one password. It's like, oh, there's no reaching my fingers up off the thing, or like, man, that's nice. All right, now we're coming back to Mike switching to this Eero. Man, what's going on with the Eero, man? Like, I thought you were with me with the Ubiquity family, and then you were like, oh, well, this was weird, and they had a sale on the Orbeez, and we needed more coverage. I was like, okay, I can kind of get with the Orbi. And then now Mike is on Eero. The next thing he's going to tell me is, and we also pay for the Eero Plus. But no. What's going on, man?
No. Although for $200 a year, I can set up my own captive portal.
Wow.
I think I can do it cheaper with my own thrown together solutions and changing DNS and stuff. Jeez. But yeah, $200 a year if that's what you want.
I can set that up right now before we're finished talking.
For $200 one time.
I mean, for no money right now because I already own the equipment.
So I got frustrated.
Okay. Well, I think maybe you're going to start what I was going to say. I want to know, like, what even brought you around to, like, I need to go buy something different, because you seem reasonably happy with the Orbi, with the Netgear Orbeez to begin with.
Well, my happiness came from Ben was happy and he could game from his room and there wasn't any complaining about it that much. The problem that I ran into is Ben started making comments probably about 2 months ago that said, hey, did you reset the Wi-Fi because my internet isn't working in my room anymore? I'm like, no, I haven't switched anything. Go unplug it, plug it back in, and tell me if it comes back on. And if it doesn't, we'll unplug the downstairs one and then plug that back in, and then you can plug yours back in because they're meshed together for upstairs. But his desktop was etherneted into the Orbi mesh puck upstairs. Well, then I came out here to do a community morning call and do streaming, and I couldn't do it because the Mac would keep saying that I was connected to the internet or to the Wi-Fi, but that I had no internet. And then I had to record a podcast, and it was doing the same. So what I ended up doing is I unplugged everything, waited about 10 minutes, and plugged everything back in. Then I had to record a podcast, and it did the same thing. And in that case, I just switched over to wireless hotspot. And at that point, I'm starting to get a little annoyed because I knew we had internet, because I could talk to things like Siri, or I could do things from my phone. Granted, all of those eventually would stop, where I couldn't do things from my phone unless I turned off Wi-Fi. And Mallory apparently constantly had issues with her Wi-Fi not working, but it was one of those, she just dealt with it. Didn't say anything about it and just switched over to cellular because we have unlimited cellular. And then honestly, probably forgot that she switched over to cellular because it was working just fine and there was no need to bring it back up. So she was at Best Buy. Well, she was traveling for work and there was a Best Buy there. And she's like, they've got Eeros on sale. Are you interested in trying these? Well, about 45 minutes later, my computer did the no internet connection, but you're connected to Wi-Fi. And I said, yes, let's try it. Let's see if it fixes it. So we could have bought one Eero 6E, but for a little bit more or a little bit less than double the price, we were able to get two Eero 7s. And I figured that's two Eero 7 Pros. And I figured that was close enough to the latest and greatest, and it'll future-proof us for a little bit. I said, let's try it. And Best Buy comes with, I think, a 14-day return window. So we said if it doesn't work, then we'll return them. Since we enabled these Eeros, we've had no issues with them, and they've worked solidly. Today, Mallory asked me, what would you think about us exploring me getting a Switch 2 in a couple of weeks? And I'm like, well, the first thing that I think of is you've got a PS Portal and you're not using it, so I'd like to see if you can use that more and not get a Nintendo Switch if that's working. And she's like, that's reasonable. I get that. But the reason I don't use it is because it never connects. It would not connect to the PlayStation no matter what I tried. I said, have you tried it with the Eero setup? And she said, no. So if that works, then that's a major win in my eyes for Eero. And honestly, I looked at Ubiquity. I was thinking about Ubiquity, but there wasn't a place that we could get Ubiquity that day, put it in place that day, and try it because Best Buy doesn't sell Ubiquity, and I don't know of a local place to buy it. So really, it was instant gratification that won over.
Makes sense.
And it's working. I feel comfortable with it. Our Level Bolt responds a heck of a lot faster and more consistently. So I think that her PlayStation Portal is going to actually work better with Eero as well. So,
you got to, okay, I want to come back. Don't let me forget about that level lock.
Okay.
I want to come back to that because I've been thinking about getting one of those. Yeah, so for everybody listening, give Mike a hard time a little bit. But here's the thing I will tell you about Michael. He likes tech, likes technology. What Mike doesn't want to do is be a network engineer.
No.
So, Eero, plug it in, it works. And I don't really have a bad thing to say about it when it comes to that. That's just fair across the board. Even the Eeros I had, when I had the Eero 6 Pros, I think is what I had for a while. They were great. Like, they worked excellently. I didn't have, my only complaints were technically oriented from the fact that I want to and have to do certain things and they would not let me do said things. And even with their Plus subscription, those things were not going to be necessarily possible.
But I do have a UDR down here underneath my desk if you know anyone that needs one. The reason we didn't re-implement the UDR and Unified Dream Router, for those who are curious what that means, is because its max throughput was 500 MB and I'm paying for a gig. So I want to be able to at least have a max throughput of more than a gig. And I think the Eero Pros is 5 or 3 gigs, something like that.
Yeah, you want to be able to get your max speed. And I wouldn't have put that back because I don't think that would have solved your issue because the coverage also wouldn't have been there.
Yes.
If in a different scenario, Mike had called me and said, hey, we're having problems with these Orbeez. First, I would have suggested a couple of troubleshooting things to try. But if he's like, I think I just want to replace them, and Mallory's looking at these Eeros, and we're thinking about this, and we're thinking about that. Now, the price that the Eeros are now, which is significantly cheaper than when the Wi-Fi 7 version first came out, I'm like, man, Mike, listen, man, you can buy a small raggedy car for that amount of money. Don't do it. But if Mike would have like, should I get these, or is there, should I go Ubiquity? What I would have recommended to Mike, and I still think the Eeros are a perfectly satisfactory solution. And in Mike's case, you plug it in, you configure it with the app, and you basically ain't touching it no more. So you're good. But what I do like that I think would have costed around about the same amount for the amount of for the number of access points you would have needed would have been the U7 mesh from Ubiquity. If I didn't have some specific need/desires for wired and power over Ethernet stuff, I would upgrade to those myself. Because they are nice, they're small, they're kind of like it's basically an Eero. It's their version, and this seems to have gotten much better reviews than their previous mesh products did as well. But I actually had a friend of mine that bought one, and I think he's going to end up needing to buy himself another access point. Because I told him to start with one. I was like, look, start with one. If it doesn't work at all, you ain't out a bunch of money. You can probably return it still. But you ain't down a hole where you bought two and didn't need to. See what the coverage is like. And if you need to get a second one, you can always plug in a second one somewhere else in the house, and boom, there you go. You got an automatic mesh. He's not a network person, router, admin person of any sort. And he basically got it up and running by himself. He did invite me to his Eero. I'm not Eero. His device. Yeah. So he added me to his Ubiquity. So I was able to log in as an admin and go in and tweak some settings that it was just quicker for me to go tweak it. Changing his DNS from being using, instead of it using his default AT&T DNS so they can spy on you and try to sell ads out the back door on you. I pointed him to Cloudflare. For his DNS. A couple of little things like that. A few little network optimizations. I turned off a couple of features that I know are still buggy in general with everybody's Wi-Fi routers. They seem to kind of hit or miss. Like band steering seems to be weird with a lot of people's stuff. So different things like there's little small minor optimizations that I made to it. But other than that, he basically set it up and was online. Without me, he ain't called me to how do I do this? And I don't do anything like that. So it is pretty much a very simple, the way that the Ubiquity stuff is now set up, compared to where it was when I first really started hearing about it in the prosumer market and in the home market, it's a whole lot better. It's much closer to Eero. I'm not going to say it matches Eero's simplicity of setup because I actually haven't set one up from scratch in a while, but is much closer. It's a lot closer. So if you're interested in, let's say, for example, you want some features like being able to set up, multiple separate networks, or you want to do some weird routing stuff, or you want a captive portal for some reason, I would look at the U7 meshes if you're looking for mesh. They're roughly about $179, $199 a piece. For the access points, and they do support up to at least 2 gig. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think they do. I know they support up to at least 2 gigs. I told them you got enough headroom that if you upgrade your AT&T plan from the gigabit plan, you'll still have a little room to breathe.
I'm gonna explore maybe explore a 2 gig plan, and just to try it out and see what it's like. So when it catch me in any contract. And I have to change my plan in the next 2 months or so, because in March is when it goes up to the full price. So I need to change my plan anyways, so I can keep my discounted rates. I'll play their game. I'll keep these discounts.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe trying to, I got to upgrade my equipment. And it's going to be a little expensive, so I ain't did it yet.
Hey, Damashe and Michael, why don't you guys just use your internet service provider's equipment? Because I have no control over it. 2 valid reasons. So.
Yeah. And they want to charge me extra to extend their crappy Wi-Fi network that comes off of it. We ain't doing that. Listen, they lucky I'm not in the situation where I could just hardwire my fiber directly into my dream machine. 'Cause that's what I really want to do, but I got AT&T, so that ain't happening.
This was the latest episode of Technically Working. It's Michael here. I'm jumping in because Damashe and I actually recorded close to a 3-hour long conversation, and we decided to split it up into 2 episodes. So here's the end of part 1. Thanks for tuning in. As always, you can follow him on Mastodon, Damashe, Damashe, at technically.social. Technicallyworking.social. We don't own technically.social. And you can follow the bot, TW, at technicallyworking.social if you're interested in getting updates for when episodes actually come out. Thanks so much for listening in, and look forward to next week.